I started working from home in 2010, and it led me down a path of a serious health crisis and depression. For years I thought that my problem was my workaholic personality, but I was missing the real, elusive truth. But let's start from the beginning. I was actually kind of lucky to land such a job working from home. My job position was exactly what I was looking for. Highly technical, servers, coding, research and development, everything that I would ever ask. And finally free from driving to work, getting stuck on traffic and getting angry every single day. The payment was also very good, and I got also 2 raises in the first 2 years. That was what I would call the honeymoon phase. Everything seemed really perfect. I was putting all my energy into work. Being at home to work, of course, there were no limits, no predefined breaks, no specific times to go for lunch or dinner. I could actually make my own schedule, unless of course there was some emergency. But sometimes I was also so excited that I would even postpone eating, sometimes even going to the toilet. The whole team was online. We would chat, solve problems, having group audio calls, and sometimes these calls would even happen late at night. I remember also that if I would wake up in the middle of the night for some reason, I would go and look at the graphs of all the services that we were running and make sure that everything is optimal and running smooth. And I would say it was just after 1.5 years where the problem started. First, a light tingle in my fingertips, then pain on my knees. You get the idea. The long hours of working seated were turning my body into a wreck, but my physical pain was just a symptom. The real problem was starting in my mind, and it was much more dangerous. My energy also started not being so high, but I was quick, of course, not to pay attention and continue doing what I was doing. The mental stress was also high. I would get headaches. My sleep was not good anymore. We had on-call rotation, so any technical problems that would arise in the middle of the night, I would have to wake up, fix them. In order to recover, even from a single event like this, it would take about a week. You have also to understand that at that point I was spending almost my entire day in front of the computer screen. Some days I would even eat in front of the computer screen. Some other days, even when my, let's say, regular hours of work finished, I would just still be there and play some games. My boss sometimes, maybe he would call me late at night and we would have like a conversation, or something would happen. I would have to stay and fix instead of going to sleep. And fast forward a couple of more years, I also made a discovery that would actually save my life. And it wasn't what anyone expected. At first, I need also to make you understand how deep this rabbit hole goes, because little by little, I was having the feeling that I was living like in a cage. My time of going out and having social interactions was really low. I mean, I was, of course, a workaholic guy, and I was also an introvert. At that point, that, let's say, made sense. Also, I had a passion for technology, that it was fueled to the extreme by the fact that my workplace was actually my home. And wearing the pajamas were not really helpful. They were even creating a bigger disconnect, I would say, where the line of life and work blurred into being the same thing. I also got that strange feeling that I was now suffocating. But at that time, I was wrong about what the cage was made of, because it wasn't the apartment and it wasn't the job. And I would only discover the truth years later, after the collapse. Even these small social interactions that I had back then, combined with the very good salary and all the raises that they were coming over the years, they were creating actually a mental prison that I could not really escape. Working from home became the opposite of freedom. All these feelings were also validated when the owners of the company took a sabbatical. For years, we all worked very hard. The company was in a very good financial position. They take some well-deserved time off. But after a couple of months, my feelings of loneliness grew. The lack of daily calls left me hanging by a thread. And at the end, I couldn't really take it. I called the HR guy in the company and I had a very honest talk with him. He understood. He also went forward. He had discussions with the other employees of the company. What he realized was that actually that was a shared feeling. One developer specifically told him that he was spending half the day looking at the wall, feeling empty, with no will to work at all. Of course, you can understand that the HR notified the owners also understood the problem, and in a very short period of time, everything was back to normal. And years later, after seeing the whole world going through this during the pandemic with COVID-19, I finally found also the perfect word to describe it. Remote work is an amplifier. It takes your best traits like passion and focus and amplifies them. But it takes also your worst, your workaholism, your tendency to isolate, and amplifies them until they break you. That developer that I mentioned that he was staring at the wall, that was the sound of his isolation amplified into like a void. So for example, if you are a little bit lazy, by working from home, you will become the epitome of laziness. And you will find also all the tricks to cover your actions and continue doing what you're doing. On the other hand, if you are like a workaholic, like I was, you will find also all the right reasons why to work a little bit more, why to make a little bit more money. And it does not matter if you are an employee, a freelancer, or a trader. For me, with the amplifier effect in full force, my body started to break. I was diagnosed with pre-diabetes, a diagnosis that hit me hard mentally. The constant low energy, being lethargic after lunch. I needed to take a nap for 30 minutes in order to feel normal and to get through the rest of the day. It was all making sense. But at that point, I still didn't understand the real problem. I had the fake perception that the solution was to make more money and be more independent. So I wanted also to build my own business, and I pushed myself even harder. I became an IT consultant. I had several clients across multiple time zones. At some point, my day was starting 5:30 in the morning, and I would go to sleep around 2:30 at night, all from home, of course. At that point, I also started learning how to trade. The energy drain became really relentless. The lack of good sleep also created like a permanent brain fog that prevented me from living my normal life. I also didn't spend back then a lot of time, almost no time, with my girlfriend, and she also started having bursts of outrage towards me. It was actually the ultimate paradox, because my bank account was higher than ever and it was going even more high, but my emotions were actually hitting rock bottom. The boundaries of my home, being my sanctuary of peace, were really long gone. And at that very moment, when I was, let's say, on the top of my financial achievements and in a continuous emotional drawdown, the pandemic came. I lost most of my investments. I got problems with my clients. The case that I have built all this time began to shrink by the reality of the lockdowns. Because now I couldn't even go outside of my home. I couldn't even go to the gym. The emotional struggle was real to the point of depression. My financials, my relationship, everything. The amplifier effect was hitting me hard. And while I started seeing the whole world shifting towards working from home, now I knew the truth already, that eventually this would actually fail because people were not emotionally ready for this. Even to this day, people are fighting about if working from home is okay or the new return to the office trend is actually better. CEOs are screaming and employees, of course, are pushing back. We have also new research coming out from universities, but there are only few people that they have experienced the reality of working remotely for more than a decade. And in this video, I say a story that it's not yet confirmed by research and comes from my own experience. But I can tell you that the amplifier effect is very much real. And the solution isn't to go back to the office. The solution is to take radical responsibility for your life and learn to control this amplifier the same way I did. To this day, I still work from home, but I work differently. I had to build my own structure and my own system. I actually used the power of remote work to be an expat in Southeast Asia and build a new life. Right now, I'm in Thailand from my home office. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm getting leaner and stronger every day. I have completely reversed pre-diabetes and the other health issues that I had. I have changed my everyday routine really drastically. For me now, each day is a very carefully planned day to give me energy, make me more healthy, and move me forward into building new skills and achieving more freedom. In the morning, I will go to the gym, or maybe I will go for a walk at the beach, or even go and explore some new place here. My meal times, my supplements, my trainings are non-negotiable small appointments with myself that help me to become more strong and healthy. My workaholism is actually still fueled by me, but to, let's say, the maximum healthy level. I still work very hard. I mean, I even started a YouTube channel, additionally to my work. And that takes a lot of time from my life. But I can achieve that by taking all the above steps to protect my mental health from my work. The message that I would really like to pass through this video is actually that remote work equals freedom when it's done right. Working from home or telecommuting, as we called it in the early days, both mean the same thing, and they require you to have the discipline to build your own free world, one boundary at a time. That is the only work that can truly set you free. I hope you found my story on this video helpful, and I would really like to read your thoughts about it, and please feel free to share if you have any similar experiences. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you on the next video.